Greetings, parents. We're going to get started in just a moment. You should hear me talking right now, but we're getting started with the live orientation for our virtual learning program in just a few seconds. You should hear me right now. We'll give it just a few more seconds. Well, good evening, parents, and welcome to the Lamar Consolidated ISD Virtual Learning Program's Parent Orientation. Thank you so much for giving us a little bit of your time this evening as we get started to kick off our virtual learning program in just a few days. We are so excited here in Lamar CISD to welcome your students into the online program that we've been developing. It's going to be a great experience for you, your students, our teachers. It's going to be just an incredible online learning experience for everyone. Throughout this presentation, I'm going to share a lot of information for you. I encourage you to take some notes as you go through, but we're going to be able to post this video after we're done that you can watch it again later. But also, if you have questions at the very end, we're going to provide a link where you can submit questions if you need a little bit of clarification about anything that I cover this evening. So go ahead, and if you need to grab a piece of paper and a pencil, do something like that to be able to take any notes you have as you go through. But I think you're going to get a lot of great information this evening as we go over this orientation. To start, I should go ahead and introduce myself. I'm Chad Jones. I'm the Director of Digital Learning here in Lamar CISD, and I'm excited to be a part of this program and be leading this initiative here inside of the school district. So tonight we wanted to get started with just some basics for you. So we're getting started with this virtual learning program, and here's a few basic pieces of information for you. First of all, this is a kindergarten through 6th grade program, and it's going to begin next week, Monday, September 13th. For our K through 5 students, it's going to run through the end of the second 9 weeks, so it's going to go a couple of weeks into January. And for our 6th grade students, it's going to run through the first semester. Now, this is going to be a half-day program, so we're going to break students up into morning groups and afternoon groups. So the morning groups, they're going to have a start time of 7:30 a.m. and they will continue on until 11:30 a.m. And then for our afternoon group of students, they're going to start at 12 p.m. and continue on to 4 p.m. So it's not going to be a full-day program necessarily like they're seeing it in if they were physically at school, but they're going to get all sorts of great instructional time inside of that 4 hours. But then they might also have activities that they do outside of that normal time, but that's the normal schedule that you can expect to have inside of the school day for your students inside of the program. Now, the very first question that I know somebody has already written down is, well, how do I know if my student is a morning or an afternoon student? We will be sending that information out ASAP. So we're working on those schedules right now, and we hope to get those schedules out to you by sometime tomorrow. It might be sometime into the weekend, but we're going to get it out to you. So check your email. We will get that information out to you so you have that information so you know before the first day of school whether you're an AM student or a PM student. All right, continuing on, we just wanted to tell you a little bit about the staff that we have inside of this program. For centrally, we just wanted to share that this is a huge team effort here inside of the school district with members of the teaching and learning team, both the curriculum coordinators, coaches, and then the digital learning coaches, working to create a lot of great content to ensure that we have engaging, rigorous, high-quality instructional material for your students. And then we're also grabbing some incredible teachers. We have some incredible teachers that are going to be inside of this program that are going to be teaching your students every single day. Now, something that I want to share about these teachers is they are amazing, and you're going to love these teachers, and they're just going to do an incredible job providing instruction to your students in this online environment. But we also wanted you to know that these teachers are coming from different locations across the district. So if you're a student at Campbell Elementary School, you're not necessarily going to have a teacher in the virtual learning program that is from Campbell Elementary School. You're going to have a teacher that's from here within the district, and it's a great teacher, but it's not necessarily from your home campus. So you get an exciting opportunity to meet a new teacher that is getting very specific training specific to the virtual learning program and online learning. So we've got a great team. It's been a huge team effort. All right, let's keep going. Let's talk about instruction and what learning is going to look like, because that's a pretty important part of this virtual learning program. The first thing I want to say is that this is going to look different from what you've experienced up to now for online learning. 18 months ago, whenever we quickly pivoted over to virtual learning, our teachers did an incredible job and we got instruction online quickly for all of our students. And then some of you continued on with virtual learning throughout the last school year. And it was each teacher maybe did things a little bit different. The schedules maybe changed as far as Zooms and when they occurred. In this program, it's going to be a little bit more defined, and you're going to have set times, like we've already talked about with the AM and the PM sessions, and set periods that you're with teachers and expectations of live Zooms at specific times. So it's going to look a little bit different. So what is it going to look like? Well, let's talk about that. There's going to be two primary learning delivery modalities. The first is going to be synchronous learning. This is going to be primarily done through Zoom, and it looks like live lessons, whole group instruction, small group instruction, perhaps parent-teacher conferences, or even tutorials with a student. But all of that is going to be done through Zoom at set times so you know when to connect with your teacher. The other way that instruction is going to be offered to your student is asynchronously. So it's not going to happen at live set times. It's going to be time that you do at home that works for your schedule or fits inside of the schedule, but it's not teacher-led. It's going to be student-directed time where you help your student at home with that learning. That's going to be doing things like viewing recorded videos, looking at online discussion posts and participating in those conversations, completing online assignments, or completing work in an online environment. We've got some really cool programs that are going to look a lot like games to your students, but they're actually going to be having your student learning and having fun along the way. So that's what the asynchronous time will look like for your student. So with this, you're going to have a weekly routine that's important to keep up with. Monday through Thursday, for especially our K through 5 students, we're going to see a lot of synchronous time inside of our Zoom classes. Okay? Everything is still inside of Canvas, but we're going to have links inside of Canvas to these Zoom meetings. And your student really is going to log into Zoom at the start of the class period or at the beginning of the day, and they're likely to stay in that Zoom for the rest of that morning until they're all done. That's going to be teacher-led activities, but there will be opportunities where the student has asynchronous learning experiences inside of that time frame. And that's going to be Monday through Thursday. Our 6th grade students will probably see more asynchronous than synchronous during those Monday through Thursdays, but they'll still have some synchronous times during that Monday through Thursday time. Fridays are where things are a little bit different. On Fridays, all Friday activities will be asynchronous. These will be activities that the student does on their own with the help of their parent or guardian, and all of that material will be found inside of Canvas. This might be an assessment at the end of the week, or those practice games that we talked about, where it's going to act like a video game for your student, but they're going to be learning as they do those things. So those are the activities that you will see on Fridays. So Monday through Thursday, you'll see a lot more of that synchronous, Zoom-based Canvas activities, but then Fridays will be purely Canvas-based, where they're doing activities asynchronously during those time slots. So the daily routine. We'll have an AM group again that starts at 7:30 a.m. and continues on to 11:30 a.m. And then you will have a PM group of students from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. As a reminder, we're getting your students scheduled right now, and you should be getting that information of whether you're an AM or a PM student very, very soon. We will have that done for you in the next day or two. Now, the next piece that's really, really important is understanding who's going to be your teacher. We have implemented a teacher team strategy for this virtual learning program. Every single student will have 2 teachers. They're going to have one teacher that focuses on English language arts and reading, and one teacher and social studies. So that one teacher will focus on English language arts and social studies, and then they will have a switch teacher that focuses on math and science. So every single day, your student will interact with 2 teachers. For some of our older students, you're already familiar with this concept. But for our younger students, this is going to be a little bit different, that you maybe haven't had a switch teacher yet. It's a great way for our teachers to focus and specialize on these content areas and make sure that we're developing high quality virtual instruction learning opportunities for your kiddos. So we're excited about being able to have a little bit of specialty with our teachers in supporting this online learning all the way from K through grade 6. So let's talk about what a sample daily schedule is going to look like. because you've heard a lot of things. You know you're going to have two different teachers. You know the rough start time and the rough end time. But let's talk about what that sample schedule is going to look like. Now, I'm going to show you a schedule in just a second. And some of you are going to see it, and you're going to see a lot of times and a lot of information on there, and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't, my child's 6 years old, we can't possibly manage this schedule. Here's the deal. You're going to be able to manage the schedule because for your student, it's really going to look like them just logging into Canvas and joining their daily Zoom room, and your teacher will guide your student into whether they need to be part of the whole group or small group activity inside of Zoom, or whether they need to be doing independent practice. So the teacher will lead our students in what needs to happen throughout the day. But we wanted to show you a sample schedule so you can see it's pretty packed. It's going to be a busy 4 hours for your student with lots and lots of reading. So let's take a look at that sample schedule. So this is a sample AM schedule for a student where they begin at 7:30 a.m. If you look at the column that says environment, it says WG. That tells me it's a whole group activity, and they're going to have a synchronous, and this is a synchronous part of the lesson. So it's a whole group synchronous activity inside of Zoom. So the student has logged into Zoom, and they're having a read aloud and a conversation with their teacher that's going to talk about the daily expectations of learning for that day. At 7:45, the students are going to move on to a guided reading activity. Now this could be a small group activity where some students are staying in the Zoom room, but other students are moved into the waiting room. They don't log out of Zoom, they just hang out in the waiting room so that the teacher can work with their guided reading group. Those students that are moved to the waiting room, they're going to be doing some independent practice. For this student, they're then going to, at 8:05, they then move into the waiting room where they do some independent practice, again with ELAR or perhaps a social studies activity. And other students are brought into the Zoom room for guided reading instruction in small groups. And then you see the end of the sample schedule for our ELAR class is at 8:35. They're going to have some writing conferences paired with independent practice. And that might be where they go in and do an online activity, a game type experience, but some students have their one-on-one activity with their teacher to do some writing conferences. And then they have a break. At 9, from 9 to 9:15, they have a break where they can go use the restroom, eat a snack, go run around the house a little bit, but then they're going to come back, and at 9:15, they're now switching to their other teacher. The student doesn't have to change Zoom rooms. They are staying in that Zoom room the whole morning. Their math teacher steps in at that point, and that's where they take over the class. So from 9:15 to 9:30, that's where we're going to do a warm-up, and we're going to do some number talks. And that's a whole group activity that's going to be mostly asynchronous, but sometimes it'll be an asynchronous activity. Then from 9:30 to 9:40, we're going to have a mini lesson where we learn a math concept, and then we're going to transition at 9:40 to a guided practice with one of our guided practice groups. For other students, they might be doing independent practice at that time, but for this student, at 9:50 is whenever they start their math independent practice. And at 10:10, the whole class is coming back together that day for a science activity for 30 minutes. And then from 10:40 to 11:30, it's asynchronous learning where it's individual and they're doing whatever activities they learn from that school day. So they're spending the last, 50 minutes of the school day practicing the skills that they learned inside of their ELAR class or their social studies class, their math class, or their science class. Think of that as maybe some of the class time that they would be spent doing some practice activities in the school. And that's the end of the school day for that student. It was a busy 4 hours, but they're done at that point, with the exception of possible extra practice or possibly homework. Just like sometimes our students have homework inside of our face-to-face classrooms, your virtual learning programs students, they might also have some homework activities that they do outside of this 4-hour window. Now I want to show you the same schedule, what it looks like from a PM perspective. I won't dig into as much detail there, but from 12 to 12:15 they do that read aloud activity. 12:15 it's the guided reading small group, and then 12:35 they have their independent practice time. 1:05 starts their writing conference, and then they get a midday break at 1:30, again where they can go get a snack, take a restroom break. At 1:45, they switch over to their math teacher. Again, they stay in that same Zoom room. We want to make it real easy on you and your students. You're going to join that Zoom room, and you're there for that entire time. And then you move on to the math activity with a warm-up, a mini lesson, some guided practice starting at 2:10, and then some independent practice for 20 minutes, followed by your science time, and then a little bit of independent practice to end the day. So there's going to be a lot of very specific activities that's going to be well lined out inside of the Canvas modules and guided with your teacher inside of Zoom. So it's going to be pretty easy for all of us to see what are the expectations of what's happening next, and your teacher's going to be there with you to make sure you're successful each step of the way. All right, let's talk about being successful. How can we as a community make sure our students are set up for success? We're doing a lot of work on our side to make sure that the learning activities are designed and organized in a way that it's really easy for mom and dad or their guardian, grandma, grandpa, to be able to help the student at home be successful. But we have a few things that need to happen at home that we wanted to talk to you about so you can help your student be successful. The first thing is that your student definitely needs a device, an electronic device and strong internet access. All of the activities are going to be web-based, and the student either needs a computer with a webcam or some sort of tablet that has a webcam. So if you have one of those, you're in good shape. If you don't have one of those, you need to contact your home campus, and they are happy to check one out to you. If you reach out to your home campus first thing in the morning, they'll work with you to try and get one checked out ASAP, perhaps as early as that same day. So reach out to them and they can get you a device. Now the second thing is knowing the apps that you're going to be utilizing to be successful. So there's 4 big apps that we wanted to make sure everybody was aware of. The first one is Canvas. Canvas is where our daily instruction is going to be housed and where you will start every single day. You will start inside of Canvas to make sure you've got the correct Zoom link to join your student into the class and to see all of the modules and learning expectations for the day. The second tool that we're going to make sure you have access to is ClassLink. ClassLink is our district single sign-on tool, and it's a collection of apps and tools that we have in here in the district, and whenever you click on those connectors inside the system, it takes you to that tool, and for most of them, automatically logs you in. So if you don't know how to log in, where to log into Canvas, just go to ClassLink and click on the Canvas button and it'll log you into Canvas automatically. ClassLink can be found in the top toolbar of the CISD webpage. There's a ClassLink button there. Here in a second, whenever we go to a little bit of a demo time, I'll show you a little bit of where you can find that menu item. Zoom is the other tool that you'll be using a whole lot inside of this, and you'll get those links inside of your Canvas course. All of our students can create CISD Zoom accounts so that they are protected inside of our environment to make sure that only they are inside of our Zoom classes. So we'll be making sure that we do that to keep everybody safe inside of these online learning environments. The last thing that we wanted to point out to you is the family access, the Skyward Family Access functionality of you being able to look up your students' credentials. Mom and dad at home, you may be thinking, I've got a kindergartner, how are they going to log into all of these things? We don't know what their username and password is. If you log into the Skyward Family Access, there is actually in the online forms area a student username and password form there. There's nothing for you to fill out. What it's there for is it provides you your student's username and password so they can log into Canvas, ClassLink, all of these different tools we have here in the district. And of course, if you don't know your student's username and password and you don't know how to log into Skyward Family Access, give your campus, your home campus, a phone call. They can help you get that information and get your students set up to be successful. So those are the big programs we're going to be using throughout the semester. There's going to be a lot more programs that are content specific. We're going to let your teachers introduce those programs to you, but we wanted to make sure you knew about these. Another big tip to making sure your student is successful is we want you to set up an area in your home for your child to attend virtual classes. Just like your student goes to school and sits down at a desk inside of the classroom, we need a set area in your home for your student to sit and do classwork. They need to be able to focus and pay attention to what's happening inside of those Zoom rooms. They need to be able to focus on the activities they're doing inside of Canvas. It's really important that they have an established place in the home for them to be able to work, focus, and be successful. A couple of tips that I would encourage you to have is make sure it's a place near a power outlet so your kiddo can plug in their device in the event that they lose power throughout the day. I also would always point the camera towards a wall. Have your student sitting at a desk with the camera pointing behind them to the wall so that we can see your student can interact with your teacher, but there aren't a lot of people that could walk behind and cause distractions. We also want to encourage you to choose a place in the home where there's not going to be a lot of distractions, where little brothers and little sisters wouldn't easily run through and distract their sibling. So try and find areas like that where you can have a focused, comfortable place for your student to be successful inside of their virtual classes. Another thing that's really, really important is we need you, the parent or the guardian, to stay nearby your child while they're inside of these virtual classes. Especially for our younger students, grades K through 2, mom, dad, guardian, you probably need to be in the room with your student. You might be able to be working on something else while you're in that same space with them, but they're going to need your help to make sure they're going into the right activity. They might have questions on what buttons to click. The teacher might need to reach out to you and say, hey mom, Timmy needs to click on this button, and shows you the button, but you might have to help your student as they're doing that. That's especially important for our younger students. For our older students, you might be able to be somewhere in the room next door so you can maybe focus a little bit more, but you still need to be available for your kiddo. They might have some questions that we need your help with, and you can also help us ensure that our kiddos are acting appropriately in these classes and being responsible citizens inside of these classes as well. So please stay nearby your student so that they can be as successful as they need to be. Expectations. So what are some expectations that we have for our students to be successful in the virtual learning program? First of all, we're asking that every single student log into their Zoom rooms 5 minutes before class starts. School starts at 7:30 for our students, just like for many of our elementary students especially, their school starts at 7:30. Well, you hopefully aren't pulling into the driveway at 7:30 to drop your student off. Your students should already be in the class at 7:30. We need the same thing for these virtual learning program students. They need to be inside of the Zoom room 5 minutes before the start of class so the teacher can be letting them in. We can all get comfortable inside of that learning environment and be successful. So 7:30 for our AM students, 11:55 for our PM students, ready to go so that whenever the teacher opens the room, pulls them in from the waiting room, they're ready to start learning. So arrive early, be ready to go with class. The next thing is that we need students to be present every single day. Our students in the virtual learning program will have attendance taken for them every single day. And it's important that they are in every one of those Zoom room sessions. It's important that they're completing all of those asynchronous activities inside of Canvas so they can get credit for being in attendance that day. It's really, really important that your students are there and participating in all of the daily activities. And make sure they're in a place where they can be successful at. They need to be in that space at their home where they can be successful, not in a car driving somewhere where they're not really going to be able to be focused. They need to be in their spot, ready to learn every single day. The final thing that we want to make sure everybody is following is that all students should follow the District Code of Conduct and Behavior Guidelines. All of the expectations that we have in the Student Code of Conduct, the Student Handbook, still apply with the virtual learning program. So we expect our students to be respectful of themselves, each other, their teachers, and a big one is they need to be in full dress code. We have dress code expectations inside of the Student Handbook. Our virtual learning students should be following those same dress code expectations even though they're learning from home. So make sure you've taken time to look at the Student Handbook, the elementary or secondary student handbook, and that you're following along with those guidelines. I want to emphasize that this is a partnership. Here in Lamar CISD, we look at our students and our families as all being part of this community. I'm a part of this community, and this is a partnership that we have with you to make sure your student is successful. And so one thing we want to make sure you all know is that who to communicate with and when to do it. Your students are going to be assigned teachers. You'll learn about who those teachers are over the next couple days as we finish up schedules. So be sure to email your teachers and get to know them, and you'll learn more about them over the coming weeks, but that's your first point of contact. Every student will actually have a homeroom in the elementary level, and at the secondary level, those 6th graders, they're going to have their 2 teachers. They can reach out to whichever one is the content-specific piece. But that second bullet there is, who do you contact if you have a question about something about ELAR? Reach out to that ELAR teacher. Have a question about math? reach out to that math teacher. They can help you out with that. For general questions, you can always send me an email. I'm happy to respond to you as quickly as I can. My email is on the screen there. You can reach out to me and I'll get back to you as quickly as I possibly can. Now, all of this information is eventually going to be loaded inside of the Virtual Learning Program webpage. Right now, it's just some basic information about how you applied to be a part of the program, but we'll be updating that webpage over the next week with all of this great information and additional things to help you be successful. We also want to make sure that everybody knows that we have the Community Help Desk available specifically for our Virtual Learning Program students. The Community Help Desk is available Monday through Friday from 7:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. They can help you with how to log into Canvas or inside of your Zoom account, and they're available just by a quick phone call, 832-223-5790. Again, that's 832-223-5790. 5790, and they are happy to help with you between those hours of 7:30 and 4:30 to help your student be successful. So looking to that very first day, how do we get started? On the first day of school, early in the morning, you're going to learn whether you're an AM or PM student earlier, or, either tomorrow or early Saturday, hopefully by end of day Saturday at the very latest. But you're going to then get an announcement from your student's teacher inside of Canvas letting you know the Zoom link. You'll know whether you're an AM or PM ahead of time, but you will get an announcement from your teacher that says, "Hello, welcome to my class. I'm so excited to have you all as part of my virtual learning students, and here's our link for our very first day Zoom link." So you're going to wake up in the morning on that Monday. Now, it's not going to be out there maybe at 4 o'clock in the morning, but you'll have it by 6 a.m., I promise, so that you can access that and know how to log in and connect with your students, with your teacher. So, I wanted to take just a quick second and give a quick view of the sample Canvas experience. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up a sample course here. And so I'm logging in as a student, and from the home page of the course, you're going to see this same basic design for your students' virtual learning program courses. Up at the top, you'll see the announcements area. So if I click on this announcement, this is the one that you'll get on the first day. Welcome to your virtual math course. Oh, I'm not on the right screen. Thank you. I got some help here. Y'all weren't seeing what I was seeing. That's how you know we're live, folks. So, all right, so let me start again. So you're on the home page here. This is the basic home page that you'll see for your student inside of Canvas. And here's the announcement that you'll receive on that very first day. It might not look exactly like this, but hopefully, I hope you'll have a waving bear there for you to greet you and your little kiddo. But you'll be provided a Zoom link for that day. This isn't the Zoom link. Don't take a picture of that and try and join that. It won't work. But going back to the home page, every single home page will have a basic banner, a picture of your teacher and their basic contact information, as well as some schedule information and an About Me area. The meat of your time, though, will be spent inside of the modules area. Inside of modules, this is where you will find the content and all of the great learning that your teachers have designed for your students. So in this specific example, we see that there are activities for Monday, September 13th, which is a deep practice warm-up, number talks, some learning time, practice, and then some Dreambox practice. That's a daily activity. Your student will first join the Zoom room. Remember that. They're going to start off in a Zoom room in many of these cases where the teacher will guide them to get started inside the program. Some days it might just start off asynchronously like that, but that Zoom room is going to be open at the start of every day, and they're going to click on that deep practice warm-up. And then inside of here, this is either going to be an activity that they do with their teacher, or they're going to have a video for them to watch like they have in this example. Once they're ready to move on, they click Next in the bottom right-hand corner. For this activity, they're doing a Number Talks activity as a discussion post. Many of your students are probably already familiar with Number Talks. If not, your teacher will explain it to them. And they would click on Reply down here to reply to the Number Talk. And in this online learning environment, we're going to have opportunities where they're going to get to actually record themselves replying, or doing something with Flipgrid, all sorts of great tools to be able to interact with other students inside of here. But they'll respond, and then again, they'll scroll to the bottom, click Next after they hit Post Reply, obviously. A little bit more learning. This might be the place in the lesson where the teacher pulls everybody in from the waiting room and does a lesson face-to-face with them, but they also have provided a supplemental video here that can be viewed after the fact. We click Next again, And then we have the practice activity where the teacher will explain what the students should be doing with this. One of the great things we have with Canvas is that the student can actually freeform write directly on this page, so they could write their answer right there and they don't have to print this out, because we know that printing is not always a lot of fun, so they're going to be able to do it live on the web page. That's really cool. And then as we scroll down, they would hit submit assignment once they're done, and then they would click next. We'll go ahead and leave. I'm okay with leaving that. And then they're going to have their daily Dreambox practice. So they'll have their daily Dreambox practice, and for this student, that is the end of their learning experience. It's not going to look exactly like that every single day. There's going to be different activities. There's going to be a Zoom teacher interaction throughout the day, but that gives you an idea of what the different activities might look like for the day with your student and how it's going to be paced inside of Canvas. And just remember, you're going to have a teacher there that's walking you through those activities with your student and helping them be successful. So we've covered a lot of information. We've probably gone through it pretty quickly, and you probably still have some questions. So if you want to write down that URL or take a picture of that QR code with your phone, this is an online form that you can submit to provide us some questions you still have about the LCISD virtual learning program. We are going to take all of that feedback and we're going to respond, all of those questions, and we're going to respond back as quickly as we can. And we're also going to take the information and create a frequently asked questions page so everybody can get the information they need if they didn't happen to think about asking that question. So that's where you can go in to ask those questions that you have about the program. I hope this was very enlightening for you. A couple things I just want to reiterate for you. We're scheduling your students, and we'll have that information about AM and PM out very, very soon. We know that's really important for you to have as quickly as you can. After that, you'll then have some announcements from your teacher to let them know about what Zoom meeting they need to have. Check Canvas Monday morning for those links. And this is going to be a great semester for you and your students. We're really proud and excited about this program, and we think this is going to be a really quality experience for you and your students. Give us grace over these coming days as we get started with this program. Things are going to go really, really well, but we might have some hiccups along the way. We appreciate you giving us a little bit of grace as we go through this. I'm going to pull the question and answer form back up so you have that URL. We're going to just leave that up for a few seconds, but thank you so much for giving us your time this evening, and we look forward to having your students join us in just a few days, September 13th, for the start of the Lamar CISD virtual learning program. Again, I'm Chad Jones. Thank you so much for joining us.